Welcome back to another class on the Voice of Torah. We are in Parsha Bereshit, Perek Aleph, pasuk Aleph, in Sivkat and Aleph, in Rashi. In the previous class, we had discussed a question: why did the Torah need to begin with the words Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim et haaretz? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Why didn't the Torah open up with mitzvot hachodesh hazeh lachem? We answered that if the non-Jews are going to come with a claim and say that we are thieves and we stole the land of Israel, we are going to answer them and say, who is the creator of the world? Hashem. Hashem is the one that created the heavens and the earth. He gave the land to whomever he saw fit in the beginning. Then he took it away from them and eventually gave it to the Jewish people. So the land rightfully belongs to the Jewish people. That is the reason that we saw in the previous class why the Torah needed to open up with, in the beginning Hashem created the heavens and the earth. Today we want to see in Rashi something very fascinating. But why was the earth created? Why was the world created? Now I want to just try to give you a small introduction. We need to understand, if you look into the Chumash, when it says over here, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim et haaretz, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, you're going to understand that the creation of the world was the heavens and the earth. That was the beginning of creation. Like it says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. You're going to think that is the order of creation. Today Rashi is going to come and he's going to tell us, absolutely not. Just because it says over here, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim et haaretz, that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, do not think that that is the order of creation. So Rashi is going to go on to explain today, and he's going to tell us, do you know why it had to begin, besides the way we understood it, with the original question, why did it open up with, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth? That's only in order to tell the non-Jews that the land of Israel is ours. But today we're going to see another reason why did the Torah have to open up with Bereshit bara Elohim. And you know the fascinating part is, in the beginning of the Torah it clearly says why the world was created. And I want to just show you over here on the whiteboard, and then I'll read it for you inside the Sefer itself. If you take the word Bereshit, right, it's spelled Bet Reshit. Bereshit. Now if you're going to go like this, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim et haaretz. Rashi is going to tell us today, do you know what this really means, Bereshit? Divide this word from this letter. Separate them. And learn it like this. When it says Bereshit, don't say in the beginning. Don't do that. But rather say like this: Bishvil HaTorah. For the Torah. Bishvil Israel. For the Jewish people. Bara Elohim et hashamayim et haaretz. Rabotai, one more time. Instead of reading it Bereshit, I'm going to say Bishvil Torah, for the sake of the Torah, Bishvil Israel, for the sake of Israel, bara Elohim et hashamayim et haaretz. Hashem created the heavens and the earth. What we're going to see today, that in the beginning of the Chumash, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us why He created the world. It's only for two reasons. That's for the Torah and also for the Jewish people. How do we see that? So comes Rashi. Rashi is going to explain to us, Bishvil Torah, how do we know that for the Torah the world was created? Shenikret re'eshit darko. Because the Torah is called the beginning of His way, meaning Hashem's way. If we take the whole pasuk of Reshit Darko, it says, this is actually Chokhmah speaking, meaning the Torah is saying this in Mishlei, Hashem kanani reshit darko, kedem mefa'alav me'az. So the Torah is saying like this: Hashem created me at the beginning of His way, before His deeds of old. What are His old deeds? Which are basically acts of creation, for example, heavens, earth, light, etc. But what do we want to see over here? I'm translating this from Hebrew into English. It might lose its translation. Why? Because I'm telling you, what does it mean, Reshit Darko? The beginning of His way. But in English, you're not going to be able to make sense with the word Bereshit. So let's just try to stick to the word Reshit Darko and we'll have a better appreciation. Watch this. Whenever we said Bereshit, learn it like this: Bishvil Torah shenikra, which is called Reshit Darko. The Torah is called Reshit Darko. The Torah is called Reshit Darko. Bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Hashem created the heavens and the earth. So Bishvil Torah, how do we know? Because of the Torah. Because the Torah is called Reshit. So whenever it says in the Torah Bereshit, you should know it's for the Torah, which is called the Reshit, did HaKadosh Baruch Hu create the heavens and the earth. Moving down to the Jewish people, same thing over here. Bishvil Yisrael shenikru Reshit tevuata. Again, I'm going to do the pasuk with you, but we're going to stick with the Lashon HaKodesh. In the pasuk it says, Kodesh Yisrael LaHashem, Reshit tevuato, Kol ochalav ya'ashemu, Ra'at tavo alehem, Ne'um Hashem. Israel was holy to Hashem, the first of His harvest. All who ate them were held guilty. Evil came upon them. Ne'um Hashem. You have to write complete over here, says Hashem. So let me just write that over here. Now that we know this pasuk, what are the Jewish people called? They're called Reshit. They're called the first of His crops. So we're going to do it like this now. Bishvil Reshit, which is the Jewish people, because the Jewish people are called Reshit Uvato, Bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Hashem created the heavens and the earth. So whenever you're reading the first pasuk in the Torah, when it says Bereshit, Bara Elokim et hashamayim, you're going to learn it like this: Bishvil Reshit, for the Reshit, which is Torah, Bishvil Reshit, which is Israel, because they're called Reshit Uvato, Bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Hashem created the heavens and the earth. Now we're going to see, the commentary is going to bring down, what does this mean that since the Jewish people are the first of His crops, that anybody who's going to eat them, they were held guilty and evil came upon them. So I want to just share with you this point before we continue. If we look over here, we know that there's such a thing that's called Tuvuah Chadasha and Tuvuah Yishana. We have new grain, which is called Kemach Chadash. You have old grain, which is called Tuvuah Yishana, old grain, which is called Kemach Yashan. Now, this prohibition of Kemach Chadash is applicable nowadays, but how does this actually work? Everybody knows that on the 15th of Nisan, on Pesach, on the first day of Pesach, in America, you won't really have this. In Israel, you have it, because in Israel, it's only one day Yom Tov. In America, it's 2 days Yom Tov. But let's just stick to the concept. If the 15th of Nisan is the first day of Pesach, the 16th of Nisan is the second day of Pesach. On the second day of Pesach, in the Beit HaMikdash, they used to bring the Korban HaOmer, which was a grain offering. Once the Korban HaOmer was brought, automatically you were able to eat the grain from the previous year. I will explain. Even though today we don't have the Beit HaMikdash, but for the people that live outside of the land of Israel, the second day of Yom Tov already allows us to go ahead and consume old grain. What does that mean? If you look, let's just look at this timeline, the 16th of Nisan. Let's do this. What are we now? 2025. Let me just go like this. And let's say next year, 2026, B'ezrat Hashem. If Mashiach doesn't come by then. Rabotai, in the year of 2025, on the 16th of Nisan, any grain planted before this date, before the 16th of Nisan, now, after the 16th of Nisan, it becomes mutar, it becomes permissible. However, any grain planted after this date is asur. Any grain which is planted after the 16th of Nisan is forbidden. I'm going to explain to you like this. We just passed Pesach. On the second day of Yom Tov for us, and in Eretz Yisrael was actually, the second day was Chol HaMoed. Any grain which was planted the previous year before the 16th of Nisan is called Kemach Hadash. It's called new grain. You're not allowed to eat it. Once the 16th of Nisan hits, for us in America, it is the second day of Yom Tov, automatically all the new grain that we said, which was planted before the 16th of Nisan, automatically becomes old grain. And now you are allowed to eat it the whole year. However, the 16th of Nisan, anything which is planted from here and on until the next 16th of Nisan of 2026 becomes the new grain. Only again on the 16th of Nisan do we say this new grain becomes old grain, and now you're allowed to eat this old grain, and anything after here is new grain. So let's do like this. Anything which is planted before the 16th of Nisan is new grain. Once 16th of Nisan comes, this new grain becomes old grain. Anything which is planted after the 16th of Nisan becomes new grain. Once the 16th of Nisan of 2026 comes, this becomes old grain, and you're allowed to consume it. And this becomes, again, same concept, new grain. And so on and so forth. Why did we have to know this? Because the pasuk says, Kodesh Yisrael LaHashem, that the Jewish people, they're holy to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Reishit Uvato, the first of his crops. Kol Ochalav Ya'ashemu, anybody who's gonna eat the first crop, which are the Jewish people, they're going to be held guilty. Ra'at tavo alehem nu'um Hashem, and then evil is going to befall them, says Hashem. You have to ask yourself a question: who's going to eat the Jewish people? So we're going to see the commentary is going to say we're comparing the Jewish people, Reshit Uvato, to Kemach Chadash. Just like we're not allowed to eat Kemach Chadash, the new grain, and anybody who's going to eat it, it's an Isur Doraita. You have to be very careful to make sure that you know what you are purchasing. Is it Kemach Yashan? Is it old grain or new grain? Because if you are consuming new grain, you are doing a prohibition from the Torah. So you have to be very, very careful in that, especially if you are a Sephardi. In any event, we're going to see today, right now, B'ezrat Hashem, this piece of Bishvil Reshit, which is the Torah, Bishvil Reshit, which is the Jewish people, and then we're going to compare the Jewish people to the Kemach Hadash. Just like someone who eats Kemach Hadash, it's asur and they will be punished. So too, anybody who's going to go ahead and eat the first crop of Hashem's people, which is, Rabotai, basically the first of his crops, the Jewish people, anybody's going to basically not eat them, anybody's going to afflict them, Hashem is also going to punish them. Okay, now that we know all these pasukim, let's see everything inside. When it says in the Torah, Bereshit bara, Hashem created in the beginning. Eina mikra ze omer ela darsheni. This verse, when it says Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim et haaretz, it's coming to tell you, expound on me, explain me. Now I want to just tell you that there are ways that you could learn Torah. There's Peshat, there's simple understanding, but also there's Darash, when you expound on it, when you explain it. So that's what we're doing now. This verse of Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim et haaretz comes to say, expound me. Meaning to say, mehatam shivuar lahalan, from the reason which is going to be explained later on, ein lefaresh et hakatuv kipeshuto. Do not explain the verse in its simple understanding. Shetichila bara Hashem et hashamayim et haaretz. That in the beginning Hashem created the heavens and the earth. Don't explain it like that. Ela yesh le'derasho kimo shedarshuchu rabotenu zichronam levracham. Rather, we have to expound, we have to explain the verse like our rabbis have explained it of blessed memory in Bereshit Rabbah in Perek Aleph, pasuk Aleph. Sheba lefaresh etam habriya. Whenever you look into the verse of Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim et haaretz, you need to understand this verse is not telling you the order of creation. This verse is telling you the reason for Hashem's creation of the world. Umashma'ut bet shel bereshit hi bishvil. The implication of the word bet from the word bereshit, you have to learn it bishvil, for. Koloimar, meaning to say, bishvil Torah. Shenikret Reshit Darko, which is called the beginning of his ways. The Torah is called Reshit Darko. Lefi shekadma libriat haolam, because the Torah, it preceded the creation of the world. Bara Elokim et hashamayim et haaretz. The whole reason of the creation of the world is because of the Torah. Bishvil Reshit, which is the Torah, bara Elokim et hashamayim et haaretz. Hashem created the heavens and the earth. Ve'od yesh lefaresh, and furthermore you can explain, Bishvil Yisrael shenikru Reshit Te'uvato, for the Jewish people, which are called Reshit Te'uvato, the first of his crops. Bara Elokim et hashamayim et haaretz. Hashem created the heavens and the earth. He brings down over here in parentheses and he says, why are we called Reshit Te'uvato? Why are we called the first of his crops? Because we are considered like to be the new grain, like kemach chadash. Lifnei ha'omer, before the omer, before the grain offering, she'asura b'achila, which is forbidden for you to eat it. V'chein ha'omot she'matzarim le'Yisrael ya'ashemu v'tava alahem ra'ah. And so to the nations which cause affliction to the Jewish people, they'll be held guilty and bad is going to come upon them.